Hi everyone, my name is Olga, I'm business analyst and this is my BA blog. Today we're gonna talk about the process of the backlog preparation. In particular, we're gonna see what are the components of the backlog, what are the stages of the process and what is the BA input, activities and output on each stage of the process. So, if you're interested, welcome on board. In my previous video about the BA role in an Agile team, I explained some base terminology like backlog, sprint and sprint backlog. I have also mentioned that the components of any backlog are the work items of a different size, such as features, epics and user stories. They are logically broken down and organized into a hierarchy. The feature is a descriptive piece of functionality desired by the stakeholders. This is the biggest work item that can be logically broken down into several epics. An example of a feature might be implementation of search on the website, any content search. An epic is a work item of a smaller size that, in its turn, can be broken down into several user stories. Typically, it takes several sprints to fully implement an epic. An example of an epic that belongs to our feature might be implementation of product search or implementation of content pages search. A user story is the smallest unit of work in an Agile framework. We will go into details of the user story format in the upcoming video, but in 2 words, the user story is several sentences in simple language that outline the desired outcome and business value for the customer. An example of a user story that belongs to our epic might be search by product name or search by product ID. Before we make a deep dive into the topic, let me say a couple of words about why we break the requirements into features, epics and user stories, and about an agile approach in general. You simply can't implement, test and demonstrate the whole project within one sprint. That is why you break work down into shippable pieces. The idea is to deliver the implemented functionality in pieces on a regular basis, like on conveyor belt. The beauty of this approach is that it works perfectly well for all parties. The customer regularly gets some user stories for approval. It calms him down, gives him a feeling of control, and avoids delays and bottlenecks. Plus, we continuously get his feedback and make necessary corrections on the fly. The team can plan and start the development of approved user stories while the next piece of requirements is still under revision. The management is also happy because nothing blocks the development. The requirements are fit to development in portions and everything works as a streamlined digestion process in a healthy body. Now we are good with terminology, so let's proceed with the topic. In an Agile team, the BA works ahead of the team for at least one sprint and executes all activities to prepare the sprint backlog. Here, I have to admit that the backlog can be filled in with the user stories without a BA. It can be done by the team members and stakeholders. So, who are these stakeholders? In simple words, the stakeholder is anyone having any type of relation or interest in the project. So yes, the stakeholders can add the user stories into the backlog. However, if we go through the backlog and check to see if these user stories are truly ready for development, we will see that in most cases they are not. In this way, the preparation of the backlog becomes one of the primary BA's responsibility in an Agile team. The BA has to put a lot of effort to make sure all the stories are properly decomposed, specified, clarified, signed off, prioritized, and can be planned and taken into development. The first step of the backlog preparation is the requirement solicitation. The BA collaborates with the authorized stakeholders to identify and clarify the requirements. I will go into details of the requirement solicitation process in upcoming video. However, the general idea is that the BA should take all necessary steps, use all possible techniques, and execute all necessary actions to get the requirements from the customer and clarify them. The second stage of the backlog preparation is a requirements analysis. The BA is responsible for proper analysis of gathered information, meaning he or she should analyze the impact of the requirements on the system and identify gaps, contradictions, and inconsistencies. Also, risk analysis, evaluation, and communication are in the zone of the BA's responsibilities. At this stage, the BA also closely collaborates with the team to find the most appropriate solution that will allow meeting the requirements with the minimal customization of existing functionality. The next stage of the backlog preparation is to document the requirements. In other words, the BA has to create a set of backlog items to describe the requirements. The volume and types of documentation can differ depending on the needs of a particular project. It should not necessarily be the functional specifications. The requirements can be outlined as user stories, use cases, calculational examples, diagrams, wireframes, or description of business rules. I will make a detailed overview of commonly used documentation formats in my upcoming video. However, the general rule here is that the volume and quality of documentation should be just enough for proper development and testing. The next activity for which the BA is responsible is the requirements functional decomposition. Collected requirements should be properly broken into user stories. At this stage, the BA closely collaborates with the team to identify possible dependencies and make sure the sizing of each user story allows it to be finished within one sprint. The BA is also responsible to get the requirements for sign-off and prioritization. That is to ensure only approved requirements get into development in accordance with the business priorities. I will go into details of the sign-off process in my upcoming video, but I hope you got the general idea. Finally, the BA should participate or even moderate the grooming and planning sessions. During these sessions, the BA should provide the team with all necessary information so that the team can understand the scope of each particular user story, impact on the system, possible dependencies, and eventually size it. The outcome of the backlog preparation stage is the list of sign-off, prioritized, and estimated user stories that can be taken into development right away without any additional work. I hope that now your vision of the backlog preparation process and related BA activities are more clear. Thank you for your time and attention. Don't forget to check the upcoming videos. Next time we're gonna talk about some general communication rules that will help you to effectively collaborate with your team, management, and customer daily. Thank you, good luck, and see you soon!